All right, so I'm gonna show you just everything we are going to be needing to do on HTML and CSS, but as a project in this case, so we can move on right to the next thing. Okay, so really quickly, without wasting much time, so the first thing we're going to want to do, of course, is to create a new folder. So we can just do something, and we can name this folder called maybe final project. You can just say HTML plus CSS, and then plus final project. Okay, so we have this folder right. So the next thing you want to do now is to open your VS Code, and then we are going to just drag and drop the folder inside it. So this is the folder. Okay, so wherever you have it, hold and drag it into the workspace. And then the next thing we're going to do now is to create different files, of course HTML and CSS, right? So to do that is really easy, and that's not something new either. So to do that, what you want to do now is to go to your sidebar and then click on the first icon there. And before you click on the icon, it displays the name, right? So new file. So click on that. Then you can create a file called index.html, right, in this case, and also a CSS file. So style.css. You know that. So the next thing you want to do now is, of course, so to create the HTML declaration. Okay, and then what you want to do now before we move on is to rename your title. So this is our title document, so you could probably name it to HTML and CSS, okay, final project, like this. Okay, and of course we need to link the CSS, so either down there, then type link to link the CSS. Okay, so you can put in slash like this and link it, that's fine. So whichever one you prefer. Okay, so we need one more folder. We need a folder here to store our images. So you click on it, then create a folder called image. Okay, because of course we'll need some images here in this case. Okay, so this is your title, HTML and CSS final project. Then you can add your name. So then you can add your name in your own case. Okay, so you can write your name, so by whatever name you want. You don't have to put this curly bracket. I'm just telling you to put in your name there. Okay, good. So the next thing we want to do now is to move on to CSS. And the first thing we'd always do in CSS is to set the margin to 0, the padding to 0, and then the box size to 0. Okay, so we're done with that. So let's come back to our HTML here, then close the sidebar. Okay, so then let's move on by opening with live server. So right click, and then you see open with live server. So just click on open with live server. So this opens up with live server in this case, and I can just share this my screen properly like this. So the first thing I want to do now, before writing anything inside of my body or creating anything, so I want to add a background image to my body. Okay, but this is something special which we have probably not done before. So I'm just going to show you that I would like to add a blur background. So a blur background as my throughout my website. So to do that, let's just follow this process. So you need to call HTML first. So it's the HTML you are going to give a background color this time around, because there's something special I want to do. Okay, so in order for this to work, so we say background image. Now you don't even necessarily need to say background image here, and but let's go on with that since that was the method we learned. So then URL, right? Then you can add your image. Of course, there's no image yet, right? There's nothing here. So we need to quickly download one image. If you have one, you can do that. But to install, download the image quickly, you can go to this website called pixabay.com. Okay, and enter on that. So on this website, you can download millions of websites. So I just want maybe a background, a nice background. You can just search for background. Okay, so just anything and then enter. So you have a lot of different backgrounds right here. Okay, so you just have to scroll and pick one that does make sense. Okay, so this is just giving me not what I want, but let me just go with this one. So you can right click and then open a new tab, or you can just click on it directly like that, and that's totally fine. So I'll download two anyways. So instead of me right clicking, let me go back. So let's see which one again. Okay, maybe this one. So right click on it, then open in new tab. Okay, so maybe that's two for now, and let me just add one more quickly. So maybe this one too. So maybe right click on this, so open new link in new tab. So for this you download, so you can just download this one, but I would like to download this other one here, and just select it and click download to start downloading. So, and you go to, so I'll change the name to leaves. Yours might not prompt you to change the name, but that's totally fine. So I'll close this page. So we'll download the second one as well. There are more images below, as you can see, right? So, but I'll just, any one of it is fine. So I'll just go with maybe this, and then just download, and then you get the second download right in this case. So you can name it maybe Christmas balls, and then close the page. And then this one lastly, so what you want to do is to click download again, and then download. So this one I'll just name it flowers. Okay, so I'll close the page, and I think that's enough for that. And then maybe lastly, just one more quickly. Let me download this. So just download up to 3 because we'll be using quite a lot of images in our website. So this is the 4th one, and I'm okay with it. So I'll just name that flowers. Enter. Okay, so let's come back now. So what I want to do now is to add these images to my website. So go to where you have the images on your system, on your system. Okay, so this most likely will be your downloads. So go to your downloads, and when you're on your downloads, in my own case, I just have them here, right? So I can just drag them one by one. Okay, so you can open the sidebar here, and then wherever you have the image, you can drag them one by one. I'm just highlighting everything. So that's gone. You can drag this one into it. You can see I'm just trying to do it one by one, so you understand. Just hold and drag it into the workspace there. So that's something you can do. So I'll close up this, close up everything. I'll close the sidebar, and then come back to my browser in this case, so we can really continue creating our website. So the next thing you want to do now is to add your image right inside this HTML. So then you can delete the / type it again, and then you see this different background image, right? So I don't know which is which, maybe this one, I don't know. Okay, so then you see the background image right there, right? And of course, the next thing you need to do is to say background size, and then you say cover, right? And then background position, then center, right? So this is a usual thing we always like to do every time we add the background image. Right now, sometimes your background may be repeating at the bottom here. Okay, in case your background is repeating twice, you can say mine is just once, but in case it's repeat twice, so what you want to do is to say background repeat, then you can set it to no repeat. So no repeat means, well, there should not be any repeated image in this case. And if you've added an image and it's not covering everything like you see on my own, so one thing you can do is to add a height here of 100 VH in this case. Okay, so add the height of 100 VH. Okay, but the 100 VH, you are limited to adding 100 VH. So let me show you something quickly. So we are not just trying to rush to create, we need to understand what we are trying to also do here. Okay, so let me say lorem 3000. I don't have to do this, I just want you to explain the concept here. So you can see now that if I scroll down, you can see the background image reaches here, right? So if you just want it to cover everywhere, no matter what, instead of just adding height, it looks as if you are giving it a fixed height. If you don't want it fixed height, just say minimum height instead, right? So no matter what, it will always cover up everywhere instead. Okay, so that's the difference between just using height and minimum height. So it's important you learn the differences. So I can remove back this. Okay, so we've not given it minimum height and so on and so forth. And one more thing, if you're scrolling on the website, we usually like to add this nice thing. So background attachment, we usually like to add what we call fixed to it to make it, when you are scrolling, it makes the scrolling look smooth. Right now I can't scroll and you might not just understand it. Okay, but all of this I've added is enough to move on. Okay, so there's one thing I want to quickly do. Instead of writing everything like this, which really is a long line of code, I can just simply use one line of code, and I can just say background. And when you say background, the first thing you want to do is to add your URL, and then you add your image, so leaves in this case. Okay, so the next thing that comes is the next one, which is cover, right? But it's not cover that comes first if you are going to write it on a single line. I think that should be center. Then the cover will be next, right? Just put slash and then type cover like this. Okay, and then put space and then type no repeat. Then put in a space and then type fixed. Right? So it's the same thing as all of these ones here. So you know what I'll do? I'll delete all this, or you can comment it out for your own sake. So you can see it doesn't change anything. So this is just smartly writing it on a single line and saving space for yourself. Okay, so that's that for that. So the next thing you want to do now is to call your body. Okay, so we are now about to make it blur. So when you open your body now, the first thing we want to do now is to add a blur effect to this. Okay, so to add a blur effect to this, there's what we call backdrop filter. So backdrop filter like this. So then right inside it, you type blur with the parentheses like this. Okay, and all you just need to do is to type in the amount of blur you want. So let's say 30 pixels, and let's see what happens. Now it's not blur, but if you take a look at the blur up top here, there's a little blur there, and the reason is because, well, there's no height yet. Because if I give it a background color now, maybe red for example, you see the red only shows at the top there, right? And of course, you know, we need some height. Now instead of me using height like I explained earlier, I'll use minimum height of 100 VH instead. And you can see now, right? But we're not using red, of course, you know, right? I just wanted to show you where the body is. So I'll delete it, and we should have our blur right in this case. So can you see that we now have our blur, right? So but you can give it any size you want, maybe 100, but you know, depending on whatever you want, right? So that's sweet. And you can also change your image. If you probably don't like the way the blur is, you can just set it to something else. So let me say I wanted to change it though. I can say maybe Christmas balls, and you still get that nice. So can you see, right? So you can use absolutely anything you want. So let's try these other flowers and see what we have. So you can see this white background I downloaded the other time, and then maybe that 100 pixels is too much. So you can see we have this nice stuff here. So on some website you might be wondering how they created all this thing. Well, this is just how you do it instead. Okay, so you can see. So we are not using a nice background for now, but this is just to show you that in case you see something like this on website, they are not sometimes usually gradients. Okay, it can just simply be this method I've shown you, and you know, that's totally fine. Okay, so this you might be thinking this is gradient, but of course you now know that it's not gradient, right? Good. So we are done with that part, and then the next thing we want to do now is to go back to our body. So it looks like I have a text here called lorem. So where is that coming from? So lorem. Could that be coming from CSS here? Let me search it. So there's nothing like, okay, so it's finally gone. All right, so instead of my body here, then we can start building our website. So the first thing we want to do is to create our nav. Okay, so I like putting comments here first, and maybe I can put few hash, and then I can say navigation bar. Then we can close the hash like this. Okay, so then we can start to create our nav. So we can say nav, and then the first thing we'd like to have is our logo, right? Now when you want to add logo, you know, I always sometimes say you should open div with the class of logo like this, right? So this is not the real way to do it in a real world project, or maybe if I told you to open h3 and I give the class logo. Okay, so in a real world project, to add a logo realistically, you must add the anchor tag first. And you know, I'm not just talking. I can show you some examples. Maybe let's visit any website, like any just random website here, so you can actually see it. So if you scroll up, this is this website logo here. So this is a link. You can see when I move my mouse and it shows this and icon, right? All these are links, right? They are not just image, right? If I click on it, you can see the page is reloading, right? So there's a link there. So these images are always linked, and it's always the home page link that is there. So as you can see at the bottom there. So when you hover your mouse on it, any link, you always see the link which you are clicking on at the bottom there. You can see this one is mail to. Mail to means, well, that's an email link. Okay, so I think you get the idea. Try this on any website, you see what I'm saying. So we don't have a logo at the moment either, but of course you can put hash in here. But what we usually do is put in this same page, which is index there. You know, the index is the home page. Okay, but for now you can just put in hash. Okay, so I don't have a logo, and you can quickly go to this website. I don't know, maybe there's one we call icon 8. You can go to icon 8. You can go to flat icon. So I don't know, any one of it is fine. So but let me just go to icon 8. I think that's icon 8 or so. So you can just download free icons here. If you have your own logo for your website, you can just attach it to it. But I just want to make this really look nice. That's why I just want to quickly find a logo. So we're just searching for icons. Let's just search for any social media icon. Maybe Google, I don't know, just search for something nice. Again, like I said, if you have your logo, you can just attach it to it. Okay, so I'm just going to, you know, find not the real one, because Google might think I'm trying to you know, create a fake website for them. So I just add their fake logo there. Just pick anyone. All right, so you found the one you want. All you just need to do is to click on download right in this case. Okay, so click download, and you can add an image if you're not connected to the internet. So 94 by 94, or okay, that's fine. So click download. All right, so this should start a download. So I'd like to change the name to Google logo, internet on that, and this should download it right away. Okay, so you should also see that here, which is this Google logo. Of course, you know how to drag and drop. So you open your VS Code, so then you open the sidebar, and you can see we have this image here, right? So what you want to do is to hold and drag it into it, okay? And then you see that the Google logo has been added to it, which is this. So it's a PNG file, okay? So I think you get the idea. All right, so let's go back to our website in this case. So I'll close all of this. Then okay, I won't open my website with live server. Probably close it. So let me open up the live server again. Okay, so now we have it back. So what you want to do now is, instead of this anchor tag, you add this image by opening the image tag like this, and then inside the SRC you find the path of that image, which is Google logo, right? So we have the image there. Okay, so you can see. Then what you want to do next is to add this ALT, the description of it. So I could just say Google logo. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so we have the logo there, so yours is totally fine. All right, so that's for the first child. Okay, so that's the first child we've added. So you want to come down and add some UL. Okay, so we are going to add some UL right here in this case. Okay, so you have to open the UL tag, and then inside of the UL, I like to give the class in this case. Okay, I can just say nav links. So you can see I'm putting in 2 hyphens here. So there's a reason why I'm doing that, but of course you can use one, that's totally fine. And then inside of this UL, I can open the li, of course, right? Because that'll be the next thing. So of course then we'll open the anchor tag. But before I open this anchor tag, I would like to give it a class called nav links. Doesn't matter for now, just say nav hyphen links rather. Okay, so I can just give them links like this. Okay, so it's now li, then a with the class of nav links. So inside this href, we do not have any link. I just put in hash, and then in between this anchor tag, that's where you type in your text. So I can just simply write in home in this case. Okay, and then you can copy down, just click anywhere on it, and then hold down shift and alt together, then arrow down to duplicate down. Okay, so you can change it to anything else. So maybe we can say services. You can add more nice names there. Maybe you can say frequently asked questions, so maybe facts, and then you can add something like contact, then maybe about to be the last one. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so and you can probably add some other more stuffs to it. Okay, so this is the second child in this case, this UL. Okay, so for the third child, what you want to do now is to open a div in this case. So what I want to do is I want to add 2 icons here. Okay, so I want to add 2 icons. All right, so I just want to add a search icon and then maybe a register now. So just open a div in this case. Okay, so and then give it a class right here, and then you just want to add a search, give it a class called search like this. Okay, and then inside it, we need a search icon, right? Now to find the search icon, this is something I'm explaining once and for all. It's a project we are doing, right? So what you want to do is to find the search icon. We usually go to this website called Font Awesome, or you can also go to Flat Icon, but I think Font Awesome is more popular. So what you want to do is to go to your URL and then type Font Awesome CDN. Okay, now first of all, anytime you want to use this icon, this Font Awesome icon, you need to link it to your website. And to link it to our website, we need to find this link called CDN. The CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. It just simply means fetching the icon from the website called Font Awesome. Okay, so we don't need to download it, so we just need a link which you can put on our own website locally, and then it will go to this website called Font Awesome and fetch any icon we decide to use. Okay, but just search for Font Awesome CDN. So it's going to show up the first website, cdn.js.com. All right, so you always have to just click on it anyways. Okay, so we just want to copy the link here. So I'll show you where to get those icons soon. So then once it loads up, Okay, so you can actually see that this is the page you should see. Okay, so it's the first link we're actually getting, the one on sort of brown. Okay, then what you want to do is to click on the middle tag, so copy link tag. So it's been copied, and now to paste that, in this case you have to paste that in your head section. Okay, so any link like such as this has to be in your head section. Okay, so what I can just do is to put in comment at the top here, and so I can know what every link is. So this one is for my external CSS. Okay, and then the next one I'll be putting here is the font awesome icon. Okay, and what you just need to do now, while you've copied it, just paste it. Okay, so Ctrl V to paste, and then you can see you get this link here. Okay, so that's totally fine. It doesn't do anything right now. So what you just need to do is it will go to the font awesome website and then fetch you any icon you need to use. Okay, so how do we get the icon? Now to get the icon, what you can just simply do is to go to fontawesome.com. Okay, so in and on that, so this is going to take you to Font Awesome website, right, in this case. All right, so on Font Awesome website you can also download it, but it's not recommended for production. So you click on this icon and then you can search in any icon of your choice. You know, we want a search icon, right? So you can just simply search for a search icon or a social media icon. I think we should just add our social media handles on the right hand side, right? What do you think? So let's add Facebook, either down that, and then you get Facebook here, Facebook icon here, and you can see voila, so we have it here. So anytime you want to use this Facebook icon, for example, even without even having to come here to copy it, what you just need to do is in your HTML, all you just need to do is to open the I tag. You know, when you open this, you have to close it, right? But before you, inside of the opening tag, you give it an attribute called class. Okay, then let me write it here. So the I tag, then class. Okay, so when you give it an attribute called class, then what you want to do is to give it a first class called font awesome. Now this FA stands for font awesome. There are two types of font awesome. For now, that's what I would say. So there's the brand and there's the solid. So anything that is a social media icon or a brand icon, you say fab, font awesome brand, or sometimes they write it like this, font awesome brands, fab brands. Okay, well, I'll just shorten it. And then the second class you need to give it, just put the space, is FA, which stands for font awesome itself, and then you type Facebook. Okay, that means you want a Facebook icon, okay, which is a brand. Okay, so and that's it. Then you close your tag, like, you know, that's how you use it. Okay, but if you of course also click here, you will also see it the same way. Okay, so let's click on it, but they usually don't like to write it in full. So when you click on it, you can see we have the same icon, I with the class of for brands for Facebook. If it's WhatsApp, just replaces Facebook for WhatsApp, Instagram, Dribble, Twitter, Pinterest, and so on and so forth, right? So I'm not copying it. I want to type in manually, so you guys will also learn how to use it. All right, so what you want to do now is now we are adding social media icons here, so we are not, let's change the search to social icons, social links, like this, and then inside of the div we just need to put in the icon. Okay, so to do that, now what you just simply need to do is to open I. Okay, I like using shortcuts, so I dot, then font, it means I want to give I with a class of font awesome brand, then dot again font awesome, then hyphen, then Facebook. Put that down that, and then you get the font, the icon right in this case. So can you see that? So we have the Facebook icon in this case. So I want more icons like maybe Twitter and so on and so forth, maybe WhatsApp again. Okay, so if you want the phone icon, I think that should be phone. And if you're not so sure, you can always go back to the website and check that out. So you can see that this phone icon now, it's not actually not displaying, and the reason is because the phone icon is not a brand. Okay, so anything which is non-brand, you just write it as you remove the B and write S. Okay, so you can see we have the font awesome icon right in this case properly. Okay, good. So you can add as more as you want, right? So let's leave our navigation bar as this, and let's go to CSS to start it. So remember what you have done so far. Okay, good. So what you want to do now is to go to your CSS in this case, and then we can simply call the nav. Okay, so when we call the nav in this case, of course, you know, we need to give the background color first of all. So let's give it white, and any color you are using here, you always see the hexadecimal here. Okay, so if I try to type white, you see the hexadecimal, which is actually white here in this case. Now instead of me typing white like this, I can write #FFFFF, that's 6. You can write it in 6 or in threes like this. Okay, so you can actually see I have my white in this case. So the next thing you want to do now is I would like to add a backdrop filter I added here earlier, right? So I'd like to also do the same thing here. So backdrop filter, then blur in this case, and then maybe for now I can just put in 20 pixels. Okay, so that might be there already, but you might not see it yet. So in order for you to see, you need to reduce the transparency of this white right in this case. Okay, so just hover your mouse on this and then reduce the transparency of it. So you scroll it down and then you see that the transparency reduces. So just keep reducing it until it looks okay. So I kind of want it like this. Okay, so like a glass, right? So I'll prefer it there, right? So you see the transparency reduces, and if you want to change this FFF whatever to RGB, just move your mouse on it, and then all you just need to do is to click here to change it. Okay, so if I click now, you see it gives me a different format, but I'm just looking for RGB, so that can be easily understood by you guys. So you can see it's now on RGB, and I have it there. Okay, good. So the next thing you want to do now is to set the display to flex. Of course, there's nothing new here explaining all of this. Okay, and then align item center so it can align on the column. Okay, so I don't have to really explain this again. And then what you want to do is to justify content space between. So I want space between the three child. Okay, so the first one, the second child, and then the third child. So you can see there's space between it. And then lastly, you would actually see that there's no space right here, right? So we need some padding to be able to push them inside. So for the thing I'll do, I'll say padding top and bottom is 1 em, which equals 16 pixels, and then maybe the left and right 10%. Okay, so which makes it, you know, coming as is, right? Okay, good. So then the next thing you want to do now is this logo here. You can see it's clickable with a link, right? Is to resize it because it kind of looks big in my own case. So what you want to do now is in my HTML, you can see we have the logo right here, right? So you can just give it a class called nav logo. So what you just need to do is come inside this image, and then you give it a class, right? In this case, so give it a class called nav logo, so we know it's the logo inside of the nav like this. All right, so I'm just going to copy this so and go to CSS to resize it. Okay, so let's go to CSS. So then we can just call the nav logo, oops, so nav logo, and then we can style it right in this case. So all I just need to do is to reduce the width. So maybe I could give it 80 pixels right in this case and see how it is. Okay, so 80 pixels is kind of fine. Let me say 70. All right, so 17 is not so bad, so I'll leave it as is. And then the height, you can set it to auto. Now that's not necessary. By default the height is auto, so pointless adding that. Okay, good. So then the next thing you want to do now is to actually style this URL. Yeah, so this is something we have done so many times. So what you want to do now is to actually call the URL in this case. So that will be nav URL, and then what you want to do now is to set the display to flex. Okay, because they are all like this, so we want every of them to be right beside each other. Okay, so you need to call the parent that holds all these links, which is this li, and then you set the display to flex. So when you type display flex, you call the parent, so URL display flex. You can see as they are now. Okay, so you want to add gap between them, so maybe the gap between them is 1.5. so this 1.5 actually means 24 pixels. Okay, so if you calculated it, 1 em is 16 pixels, and this 5, you know, is half of this one, which means 0.5, that's 8 pixels. Okay, so I don't know, I just like to explain it again. Okay, so you want to remove all of these dots here. So this is called list style in this case, and then you set that to none, and that gives us, right? Good. So you might be thinking you can change the color here. Now this is not going to work. If you set color maybe red, for example, it doesn't change the color, and you might be thinking why. Now the reason is because the texts are not inside of your the text is inside anchor tag, right? So it's the anchor tag you need to call to change the color of, you know, the text here. And you know, to call the anchor tags, you don't need to stress yourself trying to say nav, you know, nav URL lia. We've given them the same class name instead, right? So I think that's much easier for us to actually call them. And in order for you to call them, you need to give it the same class called links. Okay, so you call it, and we've done that already. Just call links in your CSS. Okay, so you can just say links. Okay, and then all you just need to do is, first of all, this color, by the way, we'll remove it. So what you want to do first of all is to actually remove the list out by saying text decoration, and then you can set that to none. Okay, so that's gone off, and then you can decide to set the color to white in this case, and of course, I can write it like this. Okay, so you can see the colors are white right in this case, right? So then it looks kind of small, so I might just want to increase the font size. So the default font size is 16 pixels, so maybe I just want to make it 17 pixels. Okay, so that increases a little. Okay, so good. So we have that there, and that's that for that. So the next thing we want to do is to target all of these links here. Okay, so these are all to be links because they are not links, right? So we made one mistake. So what you need to do now is you can't just open this I tag as it is like this, right? So you need to fix it, and to fix it now, what we need to do is, first of all, you need to cut this from here and then open anchor tag and then enter. For now we don't have any link, just put in hash, so paste this inside the anchor tag and then do for the other one. So cut this, open the anchor tag, paste. We don't have any link for now, paste it. If you want to put your social media link, you can go to your Facebook or social media platforms and put it there. So cut this, open the anchor tag, enter hash, and then paste it like this. Okay, so they are now really links. So can you see it's now clickable? Okay, so that's the proper way you should do them. And let's move on. Okay, so what you want to do now is to move on to your CSS now, so we can actually style this. So what we want to do now is to make these sizes big. So we'll have to call social links space A because we want all the anchor tags inside it. Okay, so to do that, then we say dot social links space A, and then what you can do is you also change the color if you need to change the color. Okay, now you might be thinking, what color do I use? Black, whatever. So I'll actually show you guys how to use nice colors on your website. Okay, but for now, let's just stick using this. You can actually see that the color didn't change. Do you remember what I told you earlier? I said the icons are not anchor tag. The real icons is this I tag here, right? So if you really want to change the icon colors, you need to call this I tag itself. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So what you want to do now is to call I, or go give them the same class, either way. So when you say links, then inside the links, then the anchor tag, then inside the anchor tag, then we are saying we are calling the icons. Okay, and so our class might, okay, so you can see we are using one hyphen here, so I think I missed that. So you can see it changes now, right? So good. So the next thing you want to do now is to actually increase the size by using the font size. Okay, so the default is 1 em. So let me see how this looks. Okay, it doesn't have to be too big, and that's fine, by the way. Or if you want to increase it more, you can actually do that. Okay, so I'll just give it 1.2 em in this case. All right, so the next thing I want to do now is they are too close to each other. I would like to add a background color, okay, to make it look nice. And the print is called social links, right? So what we need to do now is to call social links. Okay, so when you call social links, you could, if we give it the background color, for example, maybe white, you see they have background color, of course, and the colors are white, so you won't see it. So what you do, this white, reduce the transparency, let it not be, just kind of reduce transparency like this, right? Then what you want to do now is to add padding to make it look nice. So top and bottom can be like 4 pixels, left and right can be like 6 pixels. Okay, just a little bit. And then next thing you want to do is to maybe add a border radius, so maybe a border radius of 5 pixels, make it look nice. Okay, and then we want space between them, right? And of course we need to set the display to flex. It doesn't do anything when you set it to flex because they are all already on a row. Okay, so because of this, I would like to use gap. So let me say 1.5 em. We don't know how much that will be. Okay, that's not so much. If we check it properly this way, let's say maybe 1.2 em, or 1 em is enough, right? And you can see how it is. So I think I would like to increase this padding more, top and bottom, like 10. And maybe generally the font size should be 10. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so this makes sense for me, so I can just hover my mouse on any one of it. But I would like to add some over effect on all of this, right? And to add over effect, all you just need to do is the the real icons is this one, right? So to add over effect, you're adding it on top of this icon here, and you just have to put colon, then you say over like this. So then you open your curly bracket. So it means anytime I over just means when you move your mouse on something, like you can see I'm trying to move my mouse on these social links, you can see the color changes to white, right? So that's what we also want to do here, and you use this over to achieve that. Okay, so what we just want to do is something simple. Okay, we might have not experienced this before, but let me just add a simple example. Maybe color red. I'm not really using red, but when you over on it, the color is now red, right? So what I want to do is I don't want to use red in this case. Okay, so first of all, I would like to use maybe something like gray or a very nice color. Okay, so let me just say F3, F3, F3. Okay, so when you over on it, the color, it's not so obvious, but it does something, right? Okay, so what I want to do again is to make it add a little bit of transformation property. Now if you want to make it rotate, or you want to make it move to the left when you over on it, or you want it to zoom in, okay, when you over on it, or pop up when you over on it, you can usually add this. Usually everything is called transform in general. So rotate, pop, skew, scale, okay, we all call them transform. So that means you want to transform them. So when you type transform, you see these different options here, like rotate, like I mentioned earlier, and so many other ones, right? So for the one I'll be using, I'll just use this scale. Okay, there's what we call scale X. So if I type scale X, you know, when we talk about XY axis, this is your X axis, okay, and this is your Y axis. Okay, so if I say scale X, and it's always in numbers like 1 2 3, so you can, if I put 2 for example, it means when you over on it, it would move either to the left or to the right side on the line, on the horizontal. Okay, so you can see, right, it doesn't really make sense, right? But what we usually do is instead of putting scale X or scale Y, this scale, it just means X and Y. So we usually like to put something like 1.2 for the X and 1.2 for the Y. So this would have a nice effect like this one. So can you see? So it's widening it on the X and the Y axis. That's why they all align together. Okay, and I don't want to do much, that's all. Okay, so to make it smooth, what you need to do is to add transition. To add transition, come back to your normal I tag here and then say transition, then say all. Okay, then you can add your seconds, maybe the 3s, and then when you type E, you see is in is, I'll just pick one of it, and that's fine. So that's all. So you get this nice transition in this case. Okay, so we are done with that. So we also need to add to this one, all of these links here, right? So they look boring. So in order for you to do that, you need to call the links, which is the one we called here, right? So let's do it below it. Let's also add over effect. So you say dot links, then colon over. Okay, so what you want to do now is to actually add some simple stuff. So maybe when it's clicked on, I want the color to change to this. It might not be obvious, and that's totally fine. Okay, so you can also add text shadow. So I almost forgot that you can add it in your normal links here. So text shadow is just like box shadow. It makes it have a little bit of shadow around it like this. So for the text shadow, okay, you can just add 0. 0 means you want 0. The first one means right, so we don't want any shadow on the right. Maybe the second one is at the bottom, so you want a little bit of shadow at the bottom. Can you see that? Okay, and then there's what we call blur. Okay, so if you want it to blur, you can add your how many amount you want it to blur. So can you see it's not blur, it's not really showing if you look at it carefully. And then you can add the color you want, maybe black. So if you say black now, that would be too much, but of course you will see it, right? So what we want to do now is to reduce the the transparency. So you can just go down, so that it still pops up at least, right? So it just still makes sense. Okay, so that's that for that. Okay, so you can see we have this little one, and we can also do that for this one. To do that for this one, so what I can just do is to copy this. Now instead of me adding text, that's for text, I want to do that for this background here. Okay, or if you want to do that for this over, you can just say a box shadow in this case instead of saying text, and then paste that same stuff. So it's only when you over on it, that's when that pops up. So you can see that box is there. That means we need to change it to text, right? So when we over, you get that effect, but it's kind of too much here, as you can see. So I can really reduce it down so it shows up a little more. Okay, so I'm just showing you the nitty-gritty things you need to know, and that's it. So I want to also add the over effect on this background, the parents, which is the social links. So you can just paste it there. Oops, before you paste it though, by the way, you need to type box shadow. That one itself is a box, so not a text. So this background, okay, so it will have this, box shadow here, but again, it's too much. Let's reduce the transparency just down like this. Okay, you don't have to do exactly the way I'm doing it. Okay, so we have this little shadow like this, and you can see everything now makes sense. Okay, so good. So we are done with that, and I really want to show you guys the little things you need to know that matters. Now, all of this text, now I don't like the font, right? I don't like the font. So what we usually like to do is, instead of downloading font is like the way the handwriting looks. I don't like them, right? So, and I just want to change them throughout my whole website. So what you want to do now is to go to this website here. So I'm showing you all these things that probably no one will show you. Is to go to fonts.google.com, okay, and we can get some nice fonts there so that our website can look professional. So when you're on this font.google.com, if you want some different kind of fonts on your system, you can always come here to get them, right? So for example, like this Mozilla, if you wanted it now, you can just select it. And if you don't know what to select, there are these different kinds like business, calm, fancy, all of these options here. All you just need to do is to look for one and pick it. Maybe this one, modern, for example. Okay, and when you scroll down, you see a lot of it here. Okay, so all you just need to do is to look at one and then pick it. Okay, so what I just want to do is I just want to look for a nice one in this case. So let me just see which one we can simply use. Okay, let's maybe click on this business. Okay, so when you click on business, you get all of this kind of fonts here in this case, and we have this slab and so on and so forth. So I mean, I'll just pick anyone for now, so I don't really know which one would go well. So yeah, let me see this. Okay, just pick anyone you want. So for me, I'm just scrolling down and picking this one right here. Okay, and you see these different ones in this case. So I'll just pick this first one here. Okay, so if you're done, you want to click on get fonts right there, and then you can download it and use it offline, but I'm clicking on get embedded code. I don't need to download it. That'll take a lot of time. So to use it now, all you in your CSS now, all you just need to do is just copy the code here. If you want to link it in your HTML, you can see this link here and do it. If it's in your CSS, click on this import, and then what you want to do now is to copy everything here. So when you copy it, come to your HTML, come to your CSS, above everything, come at the very top of everything and paste it. Now you don't have to do this if you're not connected to the internet. Okay, so when you've done that, by the way, to use it, all you just need to do is to this is the font called Lexend. Okay, that's the font name. Okay, so Lexend. So what you just need to do is to go to your this and type Lexend, and the fallback is sans serif. That is in case some old browser does not support it, it will show that other one, right? So I don't want to do too much, but you get the idea. So in order for me to do it, I'll just come below here and then call body. Okay, and I'll say font family. So generally I want this font family everywhere. Okay, so Lexend. So you can see it has changed, right, to that font family I wanted. Okay, so that's it. So let's now move on to the next thing. So the next thing you want to do now, I want to add a little bit of box shadow here, even though it's looking like there's a box shadow here. So to do that, you can just come back to this your nav and then say box shadow. And if you had the box shadow earlier, I copied it the other time. So for now, I'll just say 0, then maybe 10 pixels, then black. You see that at the bottom there's a little bit of shadow at the bottom here, as you can see, right? But that's too much. You can hover your mouse on it and reduce it to make it look small. Okay, so just drag it until it looks quite nice. Okay, so you get this stuff here in this case. So you can do much more, but again, we are done with this nav, so don't let's waste our time on it. So when you're done with this nav, then you want to do something else in this case. So let's open the comments, and then you can just write maybe main content. Okay, so for this main content, we'll just do something simple. Okay, right here. So what you want to do is to open a tag called main. and then right inside of the main. So of course we would just like to have something simple. In this case, I'd like to have the first child here and maybe a second child here. Okay, just put something here in this case. Okay, so to do that, you are creating a portfolio for yourself. Okay, so what you want to do now is to, instead of this main, just open open h1, then write uh my the then I mean, instead of opening h1, let's open h3. Okay, so you can write I am a, then on the next line you can just open h1 and then write whatever you are, maybe for example front-end developer. Okay, so and we get it like this. So I'm a front-end developer, and then what you want to do next is you can write some more stuff about you. But you know what I did here, all of these social links, you know what I'll do, I'll copy it, and I want to have that as the first child here. So but before I do that, you know I said I was going to have two child, right, which is 1 year and 1 year. So in that case we are not going to be opening h3 and h1 like this. Okay, so what you are going to be doing first of all is to open a div. Okay, you are going to open two divs, so 1 2. Okay, then you give it a class. You can give the class called main1, then the second one you can give it a class called main2. Oops. Okay, so that's it. So instead of main1, that's when I'm going to put this h3 and h1 inside it. Okay, so it's going to look neater. So the first child is this first div, and the second child is empty, so there's nothing in it yet. Okay, so above this first child here, I would like to put in all these my links I created already. Okay, so don't cut it, just copy it, then come above it and paste it like this. Oops, inside of the main, so come inside main1 and paste it inside it above it like this. Okay, you see that one is already styled on its own, right? So but don't worry, it's 100% width. Okay, and that's fine. Okay, so we have the first child, which is these are our links. We have the second child, which is the h3, the third child, which is h1, inside of the main first child, which is main1, right? And then the last thing you want to do is to add your button. Okay, now to add two buttons, if it's just one button you want to add, just open button like this and you can add it, that's all. Okay, but since I'm going to be adding two buttons, I'm going to be opening a div instead, and I'm give it a class called main button. So main buttons like this. So since I'm opening two divs, now realistically it's also to be anchor tag, so I'll make it realistic. Open anchor tag, put in hash, and then write the first link here. I would have I am in, or download CV, and then copy down. Then the second one can contain anything you wish, so you can say maybe contact me like this, and then save it. Okay, so this is how we have it in this case. So that's the first child inside of main. That's what we are done with it. So the second child inside of main, in this case, I would just like to add maybe an image right here in this case. Now to add an image right here, we don't necessarily have an image right now. So to do that, it can just be anything. So I'd like to add maybe a 3D image. So 3D icons, I don't know, just search for 3D. Let me see one website I can visit so that you guys also do that. So I'll just go to this one. I'll click on this one here. Okay, so you go to this website now called vectorz.com. Okay, so when you're on vectorz.com, so let me pretend like I just visited the website too. So vectorz.com. So when you visit the website, this is what you get to see, right? So what you want to do now is to actually open up this vector. Okay, so when you open this vector, we are trying to find 3D images. Okay, so just type 3D 3D let's say maybe person, and let's see if you have any of that. If you have your own picture, you can use it. We'll not get a perfectly one, but I can just pick anyone for now, you know, just simply use it. Okay, I'm not seeing what I want anyways. Okay, let's just be quick with this. Let's just go to icon 8. So icon 8, and then on icon 8 you can click on this. So of course we can also get the 3D models and so on and so forth here. Okay, so I'll just search for 3D model here. So 3D model, and you get some, you know, nice 3D models in this case. Just hope they are PNG. Okay, so I'll just take one and just download it. All right, so if you want to be precise, you can just add person right in this case. Let me say 3D model person. Okay, so it's not giving me that. Anyways, I'll just take one of this and just download it. Okay, so in case you have any nice image, you can also do that in your own case. Okay, so let me just select this one. Okay, and then all you just need to do is to click download to download it. Okay, so you can get it different with SVG and so on and so forth. All right, so I'll just click download to download this. All right, so I think that's like a box. So if it's downloaded, okay, so what you want to do now is to, we are going to be adding it to our website here. So you drag and drop it. So you can use the ones you haven't before if you don't want to go through those steps. Okay, so what you want to do now is to add that. So you open the image tag, hidden down that then ./ and then you can add that image. So enter, and then you can add the box. So in my case, that's what I'll use, and then you have that box right there. Okay, so that's the box. So that's it. All right, so what you want to do now, that's all for the second child. You can see second child, you only have an image. But the first child, we have about one, you know, inside of the main, we have about multiple child inside it. So what you want to do is to call the main, go to your CSS now, and then I can just add comment right main styling. Okay, so then you call the main, it's not the class. Okay, so what you want to do now is to actually get to styling. So first of all, we don't need to give the background color or anything, but what you want to do now is to actually set the display to flex. So the main one goes to the left, the main two goes to the right. Okay, then we want some space between it. Okay, so just find content space between, and there will be space between the first child and the second child, and you can see the second child goes to the end there, the first child is right here. Okay, so but we need to give it the same equal width, like 50-50. Okay, because it's not equal. So in order for us to equal it, I need to call the main one and main two and equal it. And you know, I gave both of them the main one class, that's the first child, and the second child is main two, right? So what we are doing is to call main one and main two. So main one comma then dot main two. So it means I'm calling both of them at once. Okay, so you can call both of them at once, and then you can give it the same width like this, and then maybe 40-40. Doesn't have to be 50-50 to make 100. Okay, so the reason why I'm giving them 50-50 already, you should understand why, right? Okay, so this is like 50, this is 40-40 rather. Okay, so they have to have equal space, because sometimes this one will be taking more space than the second one. So I'm calling the two now, I'm saying I want them to be 40-40. Okay, I'm giving it 40-40 to, you know, together both of them is now 80. Okay, you must not give them more than 50-50, because a single, the width of your browser here is 100%. Okay, so it can be 30-30, but the maximum is 50-50. Okay, if it is 3 now, for example, main 3, that will be 30-30-30. So if you give them 40, you are messing up your code. All right, so we have that there. So now when we're done with that, then what we want to do next now is to come back to this main, because they are too close to this at the top here, right? So what you want to do is to add some padding top and probably padding bottom. So I can say padding top and bottom, I can say 5 em. Okay, that's about okay, so you can see we have some space at the top here, right? Okay, and then you can increase it as much as you want, and that's totally fine. Okay, so but we have it as is, right? So the next thing you want to do now is to call the main one, and then we can start styling it. So let's call main one. Okay, so main one, as you can see, we have main one here, Okay, so what you want to do now for min 1 is to set the display to flex. The child will be on a single line now. Okay, as you can see, right? So but we need to change the direction by using the flex direction property to the way it was initially, column. So they are all on a column like this. Okay, so sweet. Then in this case we can then decide to add gap right in this case. So maybe gap 1 em rather. Okay, so that's 16 pixels gap between them, as you can see, right? So we are done with that. So the reason why we now add gap here is because of this one and this one, right? So that would cause issues here. So what I would like to do instead is let's go back to HTML. So you can see we had h3 separate and h1 separate, right? So adding gap may mess up everything, so let's remove the gap right in this case. So if you want to undo, you can leave the gap out, that's totally fine. Okay, so I'll show you how to fix that. So the next thing you want to do now is to call this, all these are called the social links, right? But you can't just call social links just like that. Now we want the social links, the one inside of min 1, right? So that's the social link one. So you have to call min 1 space social links, right? So let's do min 1 space social links. Okay, and then what you want to do now is the width of this, right? As you can see, so what you want to do, I want the highest width, the maximum width, that is the highest width, to be maybe 60%. Okay, so this is going to be 60%, as you can see, right? So we have it there, and you want to center it, so just find content center. Now the reason it's centered is because we were already using flex for it somewhere here, right? Remember we started this class before. That's why you can use it without saying display flex. Okay, so good. So instead of me giving max with 60, let me just say 40 in this case. Okay, good. I like it like that. So the next thing you want to do now is to call this IMA. So to call the IMA, you call min 1 then space h3, and then what you want to do now is to change the color. Okay, so I can just give it light cyan this time around. Okay, then you call the h1, so min then h1. So the h1 has some margin here at the top, right? So you can literally reduce it, and you can just say margin top. Margin top is like I want to give it more space, so but you can add minus and say maybe minus 5 pixels. So this will reduce the space at the top for you. Okay, and let's see if that really works here. In this case, let's add 15 pixels, and let's see. Okay, so 15, let's say maybe 20. You can see it's actually coming to the top, so it's like I'm reducing it by taking it to the top instead. Okay, so what you want to do now is to increase the font size. So increase the font size to 3 em. Let's see what that is. Okay, let's say 3.5. Okay, so you can see we have the size. So you want to change the color in this case. So color, and then you can probably just set that to white. Okay, so you can see we have this in this case. Okay, so good. We can actually set background a nice color instead. Okay, that is, you can use multiple colors as your background, and to do that, okay, so what you want to do now is to remove this color. To use multiple colors, we usually have to say background image, and then you type linear gradient in this case, and then you can add in the position maybe to left, and then you can add in your colors, right? So let's say the color we want is just simply white, and then maybe light maybe magenta or light coral. Okay, so that's not what spots. So you can just simply use any color of your choice, and that's totally fine. So you see we get to have it this way, but it's incomplete yet. So what we need to do now is we need to clip it, right? And we usually use this property called background clip. So we want to clip it to the text. So we say text, but it doesn't show right in this case. Okay, but it's actually there. So to make this black itself transparent, we usually like to use this option called text fill color. So text fill, but that's usually not in CSS. Okay, so look at it when you type it. It comes like this. Okay, not your regular CSS. So the way you want to do is to set it to transparent. That is, the color should be transparent. Okay, and then the linear gradient shows up right away. Okay, and then you can also set your color to transparent. Now that's optional, by the way, but that works. Okay, so instead of me using light color, could we just use black instead, just to make it nice, or rather just simply white? So that's almost like white instead. So I mean, but just to show you how that actually works, I'll just make this a little bit transparent here so it looks like this. Okay, so we're done with that. All right, so the next thing we want to do now is to target the button. So if you go back to our HTML, you will see that we have this button here which is called main buttons. Okay, so I just hope this doesn't confuse you. Okay, so this is everything here. So this is the main button here. We can go to styler, so main buttons, and then we can decide to style this in this case. So first of all, we set the display to flex, and then what we do now is to add some gap between them. So gap maybe 1 em, which is 16 pixels, of course. So there'll be enough gap between them. So what I want to do is to style the button, the two buttons, the two anchor tags at once, right? That will be main button space A, right? So main button space A, right, in this case, and then we can decide to style it. So first of all, I'll give that the background color of white, so white in this case, and then the color of course would be white as well. Okay, so you can reduce the transparency of this white, okay, just to make it look nice. So we are going to use other colors, but for now let's just stick with this white, right, in this case. Okay, so then we can add box shadow to this. So okay, let's add that last. So let's add padding for now. So padding top and bottom 8 pixels, left and right 24 pixels. Then we increase the font size. So font size can be 1.2 em. That's about 18 pixels thereabout. Okay, and then the next thing you want to do is to remove those decorated text. So text decoration, you can set that to none in this case, right? So you can then add some border radius to make it look nice. So border radius, I can add 8 pixels so they can curve a little bit at the edges, right? And you can add over effect to them. So main button can add over effect, so colon over. So just like I added over effects to the ones at the top here. So without wasting time, what I can just do is to just copy this, then just scroll down and then paste the same thing there. Okay, so I can just have this, but in this case I need transition, so I can just add transition, then all, so .3s, then maybe ease in, ease out, just pick anyone. Okay, so that's it. So okay, so the gap between them, just make it 1.2 instead. All right, so that's that for that, and we have it there. Okay, so we're almost done with this part here. Okay, so what you want to do now next is to style this one here. Okay, this box here. Okay, so to style the box right there, so all you just need to do is to call the second child, so which is the main 2, and then you can call that box. The box is the image itself. So if you check the class, so this is second child, so the box is the image itself, so you can call image, and then you can increase the width. Okay, so you can, let's say 400 pixels. Now I like to use percentage instead of using pixels, because if I use 100%, it will be 100% right inside it there. Okay, so I shouldn't have used that icon. It's looking blurry, as you can see, right? So but that's fine. Okay, so you can see this looks small right beside it here. So and it's at the top, so they are both at the top, right? So what we want to do is to align it properly so they can be in the center together. So to do that, you go to the main and add align items center to them. So in that case, you add align item center, so it can be properly centered. Okay, and then you get it like this. All right, so you can add more stuff to it, but that's fine for now. Okay, so what you want to do next now is we can actually move on now to the next thing. Okay, so I'm almost done with this, so I can just say about me section. So about me, I'll talk about the languages I used, okay, and some more other things. Now if you want to continue to add more stuff below here, Okay, below here you can add more stuff, right? So I suggest we should just add more stuff below it there, so to make it much more plenty like that. So to do that, you know what you do, this is the first child, right? This one is the first child. So what you want to do is to take a look at this properly. So for the first child, this is the first child here, this div. So look at it carefully. The second child start from here, and inside the first child, you can see the first thing we have was this links, right? So the one on red are those links there, and the second child is this h3 here. Okay, so which is also this h3 here, and then the third child is actually this h1 here. Okay, which is also the h1 you are seeing here. So it's not confusing. And then the last child we have is this one here, this main button, which is 2. I said if it is 2, you have to put inside div so that we can set the display to flex. So we have 4 child here, right? I think you understand that. So what we want to do is we want to add few more children here instead. Okay, so we are going to be adding our icons here, what we know how to use, like HTML, CSS, all those icons here, right? That's what we want to do. So that means we are going to be having 5 children. So 1, the blue is 2, the green is 3, the fourth here, this one is 4, and then this one is 5. Okay, but I need to open a div for the fifth one, and then I can add all the icons, that is all the programming icons I know how to use, right? So what you want to do is to come right after this div here, after it. So let's come after it here, press enter. So you can open section this time so it doesn't confuse you. Then you can give it a class called tools, like the tools you know how to use, right? So section.tools, and then that'll be the fifth child right inside it there. So this is taking time to load. Let me just open it manually then. Okay, so we have the fifth child now, which is section, so automatically it's going to be here. Okay, so you are going to go to this website, and before that, let's open it. So you go to this website, this Devicon website, so we can actually get some icons there. So let's open a new tab. So you go to this website, so Devicon, and enter. So don't know if it's .com. So you see the links right here once it shows up. So you can see devicon.dev. So click on the link. So if you want any languages icon, like programming or non-programming icons, you can always get them here instead. So they are well created and they are organized here. All right, so you just search for the language you know how to use, whether it's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, C#, Node.js, PHP, Python. Okay, Laravel, just search for them there, and then I will get started with searching by HTML and click on this. So when you click on it on the sidebar here, you will see how it's used. Okay, you can use it different ways. So first of all, you can link it in your head section, okay, by copying this link, and you can select the one you want. But if you want to select these ones that you want, you have to you copy this one. Okay, so when you link it, okay, you can now copy it's just like Font Awesome, right? So you also have the SVG version. To add the SVG version, you need to put this HTTP inside it like this. So you can use any one you want. Okay, that's totally up to you. Okay, but in order for me to be very straightforward and not waste time on this, I'll just go with this SVG version. Okay, so what I'll just do is to click on this first icon, then you can copy the SVG here. So it's there already for you. Okay, so then what you want to do now is to come back to your section right here, which is the fifth child, and paste it, and Ctrl S to save, or you can manually adjust it, let your code be neat or not messy. So when you do that, now you see the icon is right there, right? So we have the first icon right there. Okay, so we are adding different ones. Okay, so what you want to do now is before you even paste it right inside it, I would suggest we put that inside the div. Okay, because so we can easily use flex on it. So just open div. So then you close it, of course. So div isn't necessary, but okay, let's do it without the div so I don't get it too much for you guys. So I just paste the first one there. Okay, so let's go back and search for CSS right there. So CSS, so you should see CSS, so click on it, and if you scroll down you see we have CSS there. Just click on copy image, then you come back to your then enter and paste the second one, right? So you get the second one pasted right there. So that's the second one. So you can also search for more based on whatever your skill is all about. Well, we'll add JavaScript to this. So click on JavaScript, then you get it here. You click on this, and then we can add it as well. So we can add the third child. So paste it. So we have the third child now. So let's say you want to add more. So let me just add one more. So you can just go back and then you can say maybe tailwind CSS. I click on that, and then you get this here. So you can use any of the icon tailwind offers. So anyone is preferred. So I think I'll just go with this one, or I don't know. Okay, maybe this one, and copy that, and then you can come here to paste that. So we have the 4 images right in this case. Okay, so then you can copy these tools. We want to call all the images inside it. So go to your CSS. So copy the tools, and then what you want to do now is to the tool space image. We want to resize all the images, by the way. So we can say all the images. For now, we can just say 100 pixels. If it's too small, we'd increase it. If it's too much, we'd reduce it. So with 100 pixels, let's see how that is. So you can see 100 pixels. So that's it's not too small, right? So okay, that's okay for me. We can just say maybe 70 or 80. Let's say 70, or let's see 80. Okay, so 70 is okay. So what you want to do is to call the parent, which is tools itself, and then you can add margin top because it's too close to that button, those buttons there, and then I can say 2em. Let's see how much more that will be. Okay, so 2em is fine, by the way. And this button, I kind of mistake with the padding. The 8 pixels here is ought to be 12. Okay, so just to make it look nice, we can set it to 16. So just for it to look much nicer like this. Okay, so for coming back to the tools here, now we want spaces between them. Could display work on image? So if I set display to flex and I set gap, let's see what happens. So let's say 1.2 em. Okay, so we have it there like that. So that's it for that. So we are done with that, and you can add over effect on all of this stuff here on all the images. So you can copy that, add over effect. So what you want to do is maybe you can add the background to them or something like that. But just to be quick with this, we can just simply add a box shadow to them. So box shadow, but we can add it inside the normal image instead of hovering on it. But let's just drop it there. Let's drop it there. So 0, 0 and 12 pixels, then black. So when they hover on it, then this black we reduce the transparency. So reduce the transparency so you can get this nice over like this. So 0, 0. Okay, so that's it. So you get this nice over. So instead of using box shadow, as you can see, that box shadow doesn't make so much sense there. So I think we can just remove it instead and add the transform we added the other time. So this transform then can add the scale. So maybe 1.1, come out then 1.1, just to make it look good at least. So when they over on it. Okay, so that's what we have. Okay, so that's that for that. And for the transition, by the way, I don't think that's needed. Okay, so we are done with this part. And for this image, you can just change it to whatever one you want. Okay, so lastly, the next thing I want to do now is to just add one more stuff and then rewind it there. Okay, so I was about to add about me here. So what you want to do now is to open a section dot about me. Now I have to write this manually. Okay, so right inside of this now, I'm just going to put up a simple thing. Okay, so I'm just going to put up an header here. Okay, so header. So right inside of this header, okay, we're just simply going to have h1 right inside of it. Okay, so can we just h1 here, and then I can just write about me, right? Okay, then below it I can just open a paragraph and then write some dummy text inside it. But you can, use maybe ChatGPT to help you. So yours should be more realistic, not writing lorem every time. Okay, if you can think about what to write, just write it. So, but for now, just use lorem. Just want the not too much text, by the way. So that's the header. Okay, so then lastly, the next thing you want to do is that's the first child. Okay, header, that's the first child. So then the second child is what we want to insert inside here now. So second child. So I'm just adding comments so you guys can easily see that. So for the second child, I would like to talk about all the languages I know how to use. Okay, so like HTML, CSS, and the rest. So I'll just give it a class called about me, about what I do. So inside of this, then I can start listing what I do, but I need to put each of them inside the div. You don't need to give the div a class, that's fine. So you can just copy it 3 times. Okay, so 3 or 4, 5, 6. Let's just do 6. And inside the first one, you can just put in the image icon, right? Remember, so this image icon, so I can just copy that from here. So copy, and then inside the first div, okay, so this is the first div. I'll put in the image. That's the first thing we have. Okay, so we get that HTML icon there. Okay, and then you press enter again, so you can open up a paragraph, talk about what HTML is. But for you, I'll put lorem, and then the last thing I'll do is you can click on read more. Okay, so you can just open anchor tag and then click on type read more inside it. Okay, oops, that should be hash inside there. So read more like that. So we are done with this. So this is what we insert inside the 6 of them. So copy this, come inside the second div, enter, paste it. But this image, you have to replace it as CSS. So I'll copy the second one, which is the CSS image. Okay, and I'll replace it as CSS. Okay, so adjust the code, let it look neat. Okay, so for the third one, we'll highlight everything like this. Then I'll put that inside all the divs. So I'll just do everything at once without wasting time. I'm also holding now Alt and clicking on all the other divs and enter, paste everything at once. Okay, so then you get to see all of them. So if I refresh, everything is set right there. Okay, but all the tags are big, and that's totally fine. Okay, so you just need to change the icons, and that's it. So if it is only 3 you want to add, just add 3. I'm adding 6 in my own case, so it was only 3 languages. You can also go back to the website to add more. That's up to you. Okay, and then the fourth one, just copy it and add it there. Okay, so that's all. So what you want to do now, first of all, is to call the parent. And the parent is actually called about me, right? That's the parent. So you call the parent and then you call the header inside it. We are not giving the parent flex. Okay, so you call the parent and the about me inside it. So the parent is called about me, then you call the header. So the header, we need to center it. So to center it, you need to set the display to flex. So when you set it to flex, there are 2 child inside the header, which is the heading and then the paragraph. So they'll be beside each other now, as you can see on the right hand side now. So of course, you need to change the direction by using the flex direction property. And then change it back to column, right? And then to center it this time around, it won't be justified content this time. Okay, it's going to be align items and center. So to center it properly, and we get the center right in this case, as you can see, right? Good. So the next thing you want to do now is to call the h1 inside the header, which is the about me, the text called about me itself. And then you can increase the font size this time around, so I can give it 3 em. Now I was supposed to use h2 here, not h1. So you see this about me, but I can increase it more, so I can say 3.5 just to be much visible, as you can see, right? And you can also change the color right in this case. So I'll just simply use, we've been using white so far, so I'll just simply use white as well. Okay, and the next thing you want to do is to target the paragraph, as you can see. So for this paragraph, what you want to do now is to change this to paragraph. Then now the paragraphs, we haven't really talked about this. The paragraph is the block level element. That is, anytime you say paragraph or you call paragraph, or even the h1, it has a width of 100%. Okay, so it can still take up this space if it wants to, right? So but what we usually do is to reduce the width. Okay, you know, we've centered it, so when we reduce the width, it would, you know, probably break down to the next line. So let's say width 50, and then you see what happens. You see that because it's 50 now, it's not taking the entire space now, it's just trying to compress itself, and that's why you are seeing that it's breaking to the next line, as you can see, right? So then what you want to do now is to text align center, because the text is on the left, so you want to center that like this, which is now properly centered. Okay, then you might just want to change the color of this and add margin top. So color, you can just add a nice color here. Then you need to add margin top because it's too close to the header, so maybe 1 em of course might be too much, but just for you to take a look at how it is, and you can always adjust it. So this is okay. So instead of me giving 50, let me give it 40, because it's still kind of like too length in there. So as you can see, right, so we have this. So I was supposed to give this white, and this one should be a little bit dark. The white should not be as much as, okay, so good. So I have it there. So what you want to do now is to call all the image, because they are looking too big. So let's call about me. Then I don't want to care where they are, you know, they're inside all the divs, so you have to call all the divs, then call image like this. So it means inside all the div, then all the image inside it. Then we can reduce the width to, let's say, 70% pixels. And if you reduce it to 70 pixels, you get this. Even if you say 70% also, you still get the same result, but you know, pixels is pixels, that's what we use, right? So you get this right in this case. So the next thing you want to do now is to call all the divs in this case, but before you call the divs, that's okay, let's do that. Let's call the divs and give the background color. So give the background color white. Okay, and we are going to add that backdrop filter. So the backdrop filter, okay, then we'll add blur, then we'll add 50 pixels. So if that's too small, that's too much, you reduce it, so based on whatever you want to do. Okay, so you get this background color, and the last thing, you just reduce the transparency of that white to make that display properly, like so. Okay, so we have it like this. Then the next thing you want to do now is to call the parent that holds all the 6 children, which is the about me, and you set the display to flex, so they can be right beside each other in this case. Okay, so they are now there's a slight mistake. So not about me, not the about me, by the way. It has to be, you can see the h1 came here, everything like this came here, right? So if you wanted it like this, and I mean, it makes sense to what you think, right? So but this is probably not how we're doing it, so we are following a different approach. So okay, let's check it out. So just click on the space between, so just wouldn't make sense this way. This wasn't my plan, but let me see how that goes. So that will move to the fine. So what you want to do now is, we are not targeting the about me in this case, and if you preferred it like that, let me show you that you can also do that way. If you preferred it like that, you know, you can just call the parents and say about me. And the reason why that is doing like that is because of you know, we are calling this about me, and it has two child. The first child is the header. As you can see, I've put a comment here for you. The second child is this entire section here. Okay, that's the second child. So that's why you're seeing one here and the other on the other side, right? So, but what I intended to do was to call this about what I do instead and put it to the center, right? That's my intention. Okay, so what we are going to do now is if you're probably going to do it like this, then that's fine for you. Okay, that's fine for you, and that means in that case you need to give everything here a padding. Okay, so I'll follow the approach. So what you need to do is you then come back to this div. Then since you're using this method, then you need to set the display to flex and change the direction. So when you set it to flex, now all the divs will be beside each other now. So you need to change the direction. So flex direction. I mean, there's a slight mistake here. You are calling the parent instead. So the parent, which is about what I do. So I copied that already. And then that's what you set to flex. So it will control all the child. And I mean, the child will be beside each other like this. So this is what I wanted to explain. But you need to change back the direction to flex to column. So flex direction, then column in this case. Okay, so they are now column all right like this. Then to make it nice, you can just simply add your gap, and then that's it. So let's move 1.3 em to make it look nice. And then there will be gaps between everything like this, right? So we are getting close. So to add padding, you are not adding padding to the parent, you're adding padding to each of the child. And you can see we have it here, so you can just add padding. Okay, so you can say 1 em. So padding all around, that's what we are trying to add right in this case. So it looks like I just need to type it. Okay, then you get your padding as it stands like this. Okay, so that's it. So what you want to do now is the width are not equal, so you know we ought to give this one 50 50 like this, right? But of course you don't remember we did something like this. So what you need to do is to call the first child and the second child, and the first child name is just called header, the second child is called about what I do. So what you want to do is to call the parent, which is what's the parent? So the parent is about me, space header. Okay, then put a comma, and you know the second child inside it is about what I do. So you can just say about what I do directly. The reason why I called header like that is because I can have another header somewhere else. Okay, and then what you want to do is to set the width to, let's say, 40% each, and then enter. So each of them would be 40% each, like this, right? So this is 40% each. So the reason why this paragraph is like this, remember I reduced the width to 40%. So this 40, so maybe I can just simply make it back 80. So by multiplying it to make it 2 like this. Okay, so this is the about me in this case. So this is how it looks, and that's it. Okay, so let me just make it 45 instead. Okay, so that's how it looks, and that's it. So what you want to do is this parent, the parent that holds and everything entirely, which is the about me, which is this one here. Okay, you can just find content space between, so space between it. Okay, so you see this space between, and this one goes back to the very end. Okay, so that's how it is. So inside of this, each of these divs now, that's what we want to target. So inside of each of the divs now, which is this one here, okay, we need to add gap between them, right? And to add gap between them, you need to first of all set it to flex. You know there will be an issue, they will all be beside each other like this, right? Which is not what we want in this case. Okay, so you can see, so you need to change the direction by using the flex direction property. So flex direction, and then you set it to column. Okay, so they will now all be on a column right in this case. Okay, and then you can simply add your gap. Okay, so maybe 1 em. So, and just to make it look nice, so that's all. So as you can see, there's no gap between it. Okay, so last thing you want to do is to style this button, these anchor tags, and then the color of those texts, the paragraphs, by the way, you know, that's everything inside the div. and it's like very easy. Just have to call the about what I do, then all the divs inside it, then the paragraph. You also do the same thing for all the buttons. So for this one, we just set the color to white. And for the anchor tags, we can just simply style it. So I won't give it the background color. I'll remove the text decoration. I'll set that to none. Okay, and I'll increase the font size. I'll give you 1.2 em. Okay. So then we'll give the background color. Then we give it white. Then the color will be black in this case. Okay, so the color is already blue, so let's leave it as is. All right, so you can see the background color stretches, and that's because we're using flex here. So this might be look complex to you, and I can just add a line item start here, but I don't want to complicate it. Then let's just remove the background color, not to complicate it for you guys. Okay, so what I just want to do now is just change the color to white as well. Okay, and then we have it there, right? So that's it. So they are just links, and you can add over effect, but I'll just leave it as is. Okay, so I think we're almost just done with this. Okay, so lastly, I'll just add my footer here, and I'll end it here. So to add footer now, so I think this space here is very unnecessary. This space here, this about me, is very unnecessary. Okay, so which doesn't make sense. Okay, so what you can just do now is to probably maybe add a picture right below here. So this under this paragraph here, you can just add your picture, maybe a picture of you, right? So just to make that space not free, because that was in my plan initially, but let's just put it as is. So this is taking time to load, and anyways, I'm almost done, right? Okay, anyways, let's just add any random image right here. So I don't have any nice image here for now. So maybe I can add one of those images I added earlier. Okay, so this might look too big, but I can resize it here really quickly. Okay. All right, so let's just move on anyways. At least so the last thing I'm gonna do now is to add the footer right in this case. Okay, so let's add footer. So to add footer now, you scroll down above everything, then this is the last part, so footer. Okay, so I'll just make this simple. I wish to do more, but looks like this video is getting super long, and I don't want it extra long. Let's just remove that image from there. It doesn't make sense. Let's remove it from there. So, but that space there is very unnecessary. Okay, so for this footer, then I'll just add a copyright. To add copyright, you can just add the ampersand, the and, then copy like this. Okay, but we do this inside the paragraph. So on copy, then copyright. So made by, then you can attach your name. Okay, so your name here, then yeah, that's all. So what you want to do is to call footer in CSS. Okay, so you go to your CSS, then we'll add the footer, then we'll add the background color right in this case. We set the background color to white. We can add the kind of box shadow we added earlier, right? The backdrop filter. So backdrop filter. Then we can add the blur. Then we can just simply add a nice blur right here. Okay, so then we can add padding to make it look nicer. Padding top and bottom 3 em. Maybe generally all the sides should be 3 em, and then you see how it looks at the bottom here. See, okay. Then you might need to add margin top, so because it's too close there. So margin top 2 em is fine. Okay, so then we can center it. You can just use text align center. You can use display flex, then justify content center to center that perfectly. Okay, and we get it here. Okay, so that's all. At least we've created something simple, and try to, if it's possible for you, can try to add something here. Okay, so we are almost done with this. Okay, so the next thing we want to do now is very simple, which we're almost done with. Now this about me, I'd like to increase the size of that about me. So the size of that about me, you know, this is h1 here, right? So I think that should be about me header h1. So let me give it 4.5 like this. So I have it like this, so I think that's okay. Okay, good. So what you want to do now, lastly, is to, you know, check if it looks good on the mobile device. Because if you are designing a website, if it does not look good on the mobile device, well, then that means you're not done with the job. Okay, so in order for you to finish up the job now, what you need to do now is to come right click anywhere in your browser, then you want to go to inspect, so click inspect. Now when you're on inspect elements, so let me dock back to the way it is. Okay, so it will look like this. Okay, so and the default thing you would see here at the top here, you are going to see what we call elements at the top here, right? Okay, so that's where we actually want to focus on. And if you're not familiar with this, you see all the HTML we've been writing, everything is here. So you can see nav, main, footer. This was the last time we did footer, for example, and we open this. So you can see that copyright is understood. So everything is here. And for example, if you click on the footer, the CSS will be at the bottom here. So that's the style. If you can't see the style properly, then probably you need to drag that up. So maybe just come here and drag it up a little. You see the style pops up, right? So this was what we did for the footer right now. So everything is right here. So what I want to show you now is what is at the top here. Okay, so what is at the top here? There's what we call responsive. Every website you see on the internet is responsive. Look at this website, for example. Okay, you can see they have their own navigation bar there, right? But if I right click and then go to inspect, okay, just like I did for my own, you will see that all those links, where are they are not there again. So you can see they are here, but if I keep dragging it down, you can see now it's everything is now inside of this icon here, right? But in order for you to do this, you need to learn JavaScript. Okay, but I just want to show us how we can quickly make our website responsive. You can see they bring one beside each other. As soon as it gets merged, to just be 1 1 instead. So 1 1 1. But once the device you are checking it on, maybe the phone or the tablet you are checking it on, is quite big, it should be able to contain this one, then one like this. But once you start getting to a small device, you see as I'm reducing it, this number is really important. This one is the width, this one is the height. We don't care about the height right now, so it's the width we are focused on. So every screen size has their own width. So if I'm reducing it, you can see that the width is also reducing, right? So check that. So you can see the width is reducing. So that means if you are creating a website now, you need to make it responsive. So can you see how everything is going? You can see they make this one small. Everything will be on one line, each one line like this, right? So that's what we want to do. So we want to make our website responsive. Okay, so let's go back to our website now. So right on our website here, we just have a few things to do. So since we didn't create a lot of website, okay, so if I'm dragging it outside like this now, then you can see the width of our own is increasing, right? But you need to quickly understand something really quickly. I'll explain it in layman's term. So right here now, what you just need to do is in order for you to make it responsive, you are doing that in our CSS, and in your CSS, to start responsiveness or to make your website responsive, we usually call that media queries. Okay, so media queries, to use media queries or to make your website responsive in CSS, at the bottom of all your CSS, all you just need to do is to write this. You write at media, okay, then you open parentheses and then open curly bracket like this. Okay, so that's it. Inside of the parentheses, that's where you put your condition. So the condition is that any screen size, if it is a small screen size, or you want this to happen, right? So if you are dragging it down now, you can see the width here is reducing, right? So always watch this width. As I'm reducing it, the width is reducing. If I'm increasing it, there's what you will say that, okay, when it's increasing, maybe this color should change to red, and when it is reducing, I want everything to look nice, and so on and so forth. Well, the thing we are focusing on is we are going to be reducing it and be adjusting everything. So you can see these buttons are messing up. Okay, so we are going to be checking it from large screen to small screen. Okay, so if I'm checking it, if I'm moving it down like this now, you see everything, it doesn't look nice, as you can see, right? They don't look nice, so everything is messy. Okay, so what we want to do is everything looks good like this, so you need to keep adjusting it till it doesn't make sense again. So let's keep going, keep adjusting it inside gently until you have an issue with everything. Okay, so I think I found out an issue now. So you can see, first of all, this our button already had an issue. This developer, the R is not showing again, and these links, they are getting close to each other, so they might have a conflict, right? So do you know what we are going to do? As everything is here right now, what you need to do now is to actually keep this number in mind, this 852 pixels. Keep it in mind, because that's where the problem starts to show, right? So, and anytime you now want to adjust it now, okay, you need to put the number inside here, inside this parentheses, but you can't just write the number. Anytime you are dragging it down like that, we are dragging it inside to make it small screen. If you are dragging it inside, you are going to be using this option called max width. Okay, max width. Being we are designing from small to large, now we are going to use minimum width, but since we are going down like this, we are going to use max width. So you are going to use max width in this case. So inside of this parenthesis, then you write max hyphen width, this, then put colon, then that number you had in mind. I've forgotten that. Okay, but it doesn't have to be that exact thing, but let's start from here, by the way. So let's say 876. So you don't have to put this exact number, you can just make it 8, maybe 885 or 880. Okay, doesn't have to be this exact number, that doesn't matter. Okay, so what I'll do is just now put 880 pixels like this, and that's all. And then you open your curly bracket and start doing anything you need to do. Okay, so let's go to our media queries CSS and do that. So you do that above all your CSS here. Okay, so above everything, then you say at media, then you open parentheses and curly bracket. So inside the curly bracket, now that's where you write in the checkpoint. So that's called the checkpoint. So max hyphen width, then it's, I don't know what I write, maybe I can just use 885. Okay, that's all you need to do, that's all. And then you can start doing anything. For example, now this my for example, now what you need to do now is, okay, this is UL, right? This is UL. Remember, if you want to select it on your element, or you want to see it here, so because we are going to use this inspect a lot, what you need to do now is to click on this first icon here. Okay, this one here. So if you find it, if you want to select any element, so click on it, and then just move your mouse on the element you want to select. As you are moving your mouse on the element you want to select, it's showing you the element here. So for example, I move my mouse on this one now, it's telling me that this is it. You can see this light background here, so just watch it. You can see as you are moving your mouse, it will be moving to where it is. So you can see the side here is changing, right? So what I want to do is, you don't have to perfectly find that, you just click on it. This is the parent I clicked on. You can see when I move my mouse, it's telling me this is the parent, and you can also see it's telling you here nav, right? So when you move your mouse, just click on it. Then what you want to do is to open the nav here. It's the UL we want to adjust, because once they get too close, there'll be conflict, right? Open the nav, then you click on this UL. Now when you click on this UL, you see the CSS here. Okay, this is the CSS here: display flex, align gap, and so on and so forth. Without saying display flex, everything will look like this, right? So I'm just testing it here by toggling it off. But if you say display flex, it will look like this, right? So, but do you know what I want to do? I don't want to see this on small font. I don't want to see this on anything smaller than this number. I don't want to see this UL. I want to remove it completely, right? So what you now do now is to call that UL. The way we call the UL in our CSS, that's what it's showing us here. We say nav UL. I can just double click inside this, Control A, Control C to copy, instead of going to my CSS again, and paste it here. or you target it by writing it. And open your curly brackets. So it still means that you are now taking that nav. Then any number that is less than this number, anything I do here should reflect. Okay, so what I want to do is I don't want to see it at all. Then you just say display none. Display none would remove any HTML elements completely from your website. Can you see that it has disappeared now? So it's not there again. Okay, but once I drag it outside of that number, you can see I'm not inside that number now. I'm not inside the 885. This is 910. So outside this number it will show, but once it's less than 885 it will not show again. So look at it. If I drag it now, so you can see I'm not inside 885 again. Okay, 885, I'm inside the 883, which is less than it. So it's not going to show again. It's gone. So if your screen size is larger than that number, it will show. If it's not, it will not show anything. Can you see? Can you see how powerful it is? Good. Now the next one, we are done with that one. Now you now need to focus on this one here. What did you do here? You need to understand what you did here. So if you want to understand what you did here, I already told you, click on this icon, then just move your mouse. This one that you are moving your mouse on is the parent tool. Okay, when you move your mouse on it, it's showing you here already what you are moving your mouse on, which is this main URL, right? So click on it. So if you click on the main here, just click on it, you will see to show you the CSS here. And this was exactly what we did in our VS Code. You can see I don't have to go to my VS Code and be checking it there. So let's say I untoggle this display flex. You see that without using flex, everything will look like this. Can you see that? And that's it, right? And you can see that I gave each child 40% if you remember. If you want to really understand it, open the main, click on any div, click on maybe the first one. You will see that if you scroll down, you see that I gave main 1 and main 2 40%. If I didn't give you 40%, let me click it. You will see this is how everything would look like, right? So this is how the world look like. So this one will be at the top, this one will be at the bottom, however we want to have it. Okay, but what we really want to do now is all the things I removed now, that's what I want to remove in my normal CSS, because you are removing it temporarily here. So do you know what you do now? Let's refresh, so you be sure that everything is back to normal now. Okay, so what you want to do now is to click on that main. Okay, so it's telling us what we did in our main. So in the main, we are not going to remove the display flex. We just change the direction, so that if we change the direction now, all is just going to happen is that this one will come here, this one will come below. So you know what you do? Call the main in your CSS. So let's go to our CSS. So inside the media query, you press enter on the first line, then call main like this, and open curly bracket. Then what you want to do now is to say, you don't need to say display flex again because it already has flex. So you say flex direction, then you set it to column. You see when you set it to column now, everything will change 1 they'll be on top of their own. So can you see we now have this one at the top, this one at the bottom. So can you see the power of it? That. And it's only when it reaches this checkpoint, that's when the direction changes to column. But once you're outside the checkpoint, if I drag it now, everything will come back to normal. So can you see? But once you are inside that checkpoint, can you see what just happened? So the reason why this R is not showing is because the width is 40%, right? And the width of this one too is 40%. I give them 40. So that R is, the space is more than 40. It needs more than 40% space, right? And so what you need to do to be sure that you really did that, you can always open this main. Just click on any element. If you click on main 1, to first of all show main 1 styling. If you also take a look at the bottom, it's telling you that somewhere in your code you have main 1 again, but you give it 40%. You tag it with main 2. That's what it's trying to tell you. So what I'll do now, I'll call this main 1 and main 2. I can just double click and copy it from there. Then I'll go to my CSS in this case, go on a fresh line inside the media queries and paste it. So the width which I gave 40, I can give it maybe 80 or 90. So let me see 90% and press enter. 90%. So you see that everything will now be proper. It will now be more wider and there will be enough space for it to fit everything. So you can say I give it 90 and it looks okay. And of course, the reason why you are seeing space here is because of the padding. I gave padding to the parent, if you remembered. So if you want to be sure, click on the main. The main is the parent, right? So click on the main and you see somewhere it's showing you this one because you are inside this checkpoint. So let me drag it outside, and so you can see it has changed. So you can see I give it padding of 5 em on the first side. So this padding now is too much. I want to reduce it. So on the checkpoint I would like to reduce it. So let me just, so what you need to do now is to call main. So I just, this is it here, you don't have to call it again. So padding, the top and bottom I'll leave it like that, which is 5 em. The left and right I'll reduce it to 2 em in this case, so it can look better like this. Okay, even 1 em is better, so that's more better like this. Okay, so you can see it now looks good like this, right? So you can see how we are gradually making it make sense. Okay, so this box now, what we need to do, it has a fixed width. So you click on this box here. So okay, we gave it 100% width, that's fine. Then you can leave it the way it is. Now let's move on to this part here. This is about me. You remember we did this one recently. Remember we gave it flex, and to find it you can have to click on this icon here. Then move your mouse on the, just move your mouse anywhere, but try to move it on the parent. Okay, you can see when you move your mouse it's showing you the parent there, which is about me. Okay, and just click on it. When you do that, just click, so you can see you have the same about me here showing at the bottom here. Okay, so you can see we gave it flex. Before we gave it flex, if you click on it, it will show you how it is. You can see it is like this, right? So this is how everything is. Okay, so good. So you know what we'll do, we'll go and change the direction. You don't need to remove anything, so just call this about me, or copy that, then go to your CSS, then inside the media queries you come inside it, enter, paste it, then you change the direction, flex direction, then column. So most of the thing you just do is just change the direction to column, column, column. So you can see we've used it about here again. So when you change it to column now, it means that you want it back to the normal way it is, but only inside this, checkpoint here. Okay, so we are not done yet. So the reason why it is on the very left side, we don't understand, and the reason is because you use justify content space between. So you that created the website yourself, you know what you did. So to confirm that, let's click on the parent. You can see this is the parent about me. Let's click on it and see what we did. So it's showing this one because we're inside the checkpoint. Just drag it out. You can see. So you can now see. So it's because we use space between here. That's why it. Okay. So if I just take it in, just scroll down to the normal one here. If I remove the space between now, although it won't do anything yet. Okay, I won't do anything yet. So what we need to do now is we need to add gap between the first and the second child because they are too close to each other. The about me is the first child and all these ones are the second child. So what you need to do is to give it gap because we didn't even give it gap initially. So give it gap of let's say 2 em. So 2 em, let's see how it looks. So you can see we have 2 em of space here in this case. And then what you can do is to center it if you want to center it. So to center it, now it won't be justify content center because you have changed the direction. It will now be align items center in this case. So this is going to center properly. As you can see, it's now properly centered. Okay, so you can see how powerful this is now. Okay, so we're almost done. So if you also remembered, we gave the first child, we gave them 40-40. If you remember what you did. So this is the parent about me, right? So open it, then we have to charge header one, which is this about me and that paragraph, and the section is all the paragraphs there. That's the section. This is the header. So if I click on the header, if you scroll down, you will see we group the two together. About me, the header inside it, that's the header. Okay, this header here, and the other one, which is about what I do, that's the second one here. You can see we give it with 45 pixels, so I'll copy it. Now the 45 is too small, it's because they are beside each other. That's why we give it 45. But now it's 1 so we can extend it to like 80 or 1990. So I think we used 1990 earlier. So you then down that and then paste this, and then width you can set it to 90%. So you see that each of them would have their own enough space. Okay, so you can see what just happened now. We've just actually set this to width 90 and everything is now much wider like this, right? So you can see that's in fact everything. So we can now continue to drag it now. Since everything is okay, let's continue to adjust it. So you can see that my front-end developer jumped to the next line. So I think that looks good. So let's keep going down. And when you are dragging it, you are not only checking the top, you have to also check what is at the bottom. Okay, so check the bottom and check if everything is okay. So you can see they are still all okay. So let's keep adjusting it then until it gets to a position where we have issues. So you can see we already have issues somewhere here. So you can see as I drag it, you can see what just happened. So 407, right? So like I said, it doesn't have to be 407. Let me just put it at 450. So I'll put it at 450 and I'll increase all this size. They look too big about me and so on, right? So what you want to do now is this one, you are done with this media accuracy. This one, you are done with the adjustment of this size. So you can see we have another adjustment now. I'll just put it at 450. So what you need to do is to come on a fresh line again and put at media. Okay, then space, then open parenthesis and curly bracket. So inside of this now, what you need to do is to put max width like we did earlier. Then we will say 450 pixels. Don't put semicolon. Okay, so what we are adjusting is different at this checkpoint now. And what we want to adjust first of all is this front-end developer. Okay, or let's leave that one alone. The button is what we want to adjust. So click on that icon, then move your mouse on the button. You can click on either the first one or the second one. Okay, so you would actually see it as clicked on it here for you. But when you go to the CSS, you see what you did here. Okay, you can see the padding here. First of all, we need to reduce the padding. We also need to reduce, we used flex for this. Okay, but flex was on the parent, this main, you know, that's the parent. If you click on it, you see we use flex, and we would like to reduce the gap. You can see 1.2 em is 19.2 pixels. So let's first of all call the parent and reduce the gap. Okay, so call main button and reduce the gap between it. So call main button, open curly bracket, enter. So you can say gap, and we can say maybe 10 pixels, so it doesn't have to be too much here. So it reduces the gap. Then the font size I want to reduce, so of course you can click on this. If it's still selected, fine. So you also see that we have the font size, so we are calling this entire anchor tag here. We are reducing the padding and the font size, those two stuffs. So what you need to do is to come on a fresh line inside this, then down that, paste this. So we're reducing the padding this time around. So maybe I'll give it maybe 10 pixels still. But left and right can be 15 pixels. And then the font size. So the font size, we can give it just 1 em. Okay, so this would reduce the size and the padding as well. So can you see that it reduces it? So the next thing you want to do now is this about me. We would like to increase the size. So you click on this, you click on the about me, so it will show you where the about me is, which is here, and that's the CSS. And you can see the font size is 4.5 em. So what you want to do now is to copy this and then double click just to copy it. Then the font size 4.5 is way too much, so let's paste this on a new line. Then font size, so font size, I don't want to waste. Okay, so we can say 2 em. I don't think that should be too big. It should be enough now. Okay, so we have that about me 2 em. But the paragraph here, we increase the size as well. So click on the paragraph. Okay, we didn't increase the size, so it's the way it is. So I'll leave it like that. So I don't think we increased all these paragraphs here. So let's see. So we didn't. So but we can reduce the size, by the way. So they look too big. So click on this. So you can see we call the paragraph, we only change the color, it's looking too big, so we call the paragraph like that. And then on a fresh line, we'll paste it. So the font size on this size, it should be small. So let me give it 13 pixels like this. And then there's what we call line height. Line height is the space between each paragraph. So for example, if I had 3, you see the space between each paragraph would be much, so you can see, right? So but we usually like to have something like 1.5. I should add that from the beginning. So let me add that to my body instead. So let me cut this from here, then scroll to my body. Now I don't have to do this, but you know, I just want to put that there. Let me scroll down. Okay, so that's like from my body already. Okay, oh, that wouldn't make sense. As you can see, it's affecting everything. So Let me just remove that from there and just add that to that paragraph only then. So good. So I've done that from beginning anyways. Okay, so we are almost close now. So what do you think we can adjust again? So now let's now try to adjust it. So the minimum you can adjust it is just by clicking at the top here. If it doesn't look good here, then there's a problem. Like it doesn't look good at 320 at least. That's the list. Or you can resize it to. Okay, so you can see we need to adjust just few more things. Maybe like this image. You can see all these images here. Just click on any of the image, and then you see you start it here. Tools.image. We gave it with 70. We need to reduce it to maybe like 50. So call tools image and we'll reduce it to 50 pixels. 50 pixels to make it look good. I almost forgot this developer. You know, the developer is almost the same size as the about me at the bottom. So this developer, let's click on it. Then when you click on it, it will show you the selected element. And at the bottom, you see we gave it 3.5, which is even too much. So let's change it to maybe like 2.5 or so. So come here, main h1, then say font size. Let's say 2.5 em. So it might still be too much, but let's see how that looks now. Okay, so 2.5 is okay here in this case. Okay, and then lastly, this one here, the parent here. So let's click on it. That's like the social links. So the social links, the max width I give it a 40. I would like to increase it to maybe like 60 at this checkpoint only. So you come here, enter, paste that. So then you can say max width. So max width, let's say 60%. And I think we are now finally done with this. So this is just a simple HTML and CSS project we've done. And I think we're good with this. Okay, so let me just adjust this font size of this anchor tags. Let me say 0.9. Looks like too big there. Okay, so I think we're finally done with this right in this case. So this is just a simple project, and this copyright here, so you can see the copyright there. So we need to adjust that properly. So let's click on that. So I don't think I increased the size or anything. So the footer, let's see what we did in the footer. So in the footer I didn't do anything. So what we can do is to call the target it manually, since we didn't even style it at all. So this is the last one. So here you can just call footer space paragraph. The paragraph inside it, you can increase the font size to maybe 0.8 em like that, and then just make it look good. And you can center it in case it's still not like in the center. Okay, because if you take a look at it, it's not center. So but if it fits one line, that's fine. So that's it. All right, so we're done with this, and that's all. Okay, so what you want to do is to deploy this. Okay, but before we deploy it, that is share our link to people. So what you want to do is, if you remembered, I create these different files. So let's scroll back to the very top. So I created these different links like home, services, frequently asked questions, and so on, right? So if you want to make it realistic now, what we usually do now, by default, you need to create files like services.html, facts.html, contact.html inside your HTML here. Okay, so that's what we usually do, because you are going to create pages for all of those ones too. Okay, so let's do that now. Okay, so we are going to create services. So let's create a new file called services. So services.html and services.css. So press enter. So just for now, let's just create the HTML files. Then we can just say services. And then you can come here to style your own, but inside here just write services. Okay, so then you can create services.css too. I mean, if you want to start working with the CSS, so services.css. Then you need to link the CSS right inside here. So, and then you start working on it. So service link, then // then services.css. Okay. So the thing is, now maybe when you're on a larger screen for now, if you click on services, this link. So let me close out of this. If you click on services, it will take you to that page I just created now, which is services. Let me refresh. Okay, now I haven't linked it yet, so let's go back to index.html. So for this first one here, Okay, instead of writing hash inside of this href, delete it. You know, this home is still this default home, the index is still home. So inside it, you just link the slash, then or you link index itself, which is the default home page. So for the next one, which is services, you've created a page called services.html. When you click on it and you link your services.html to it, okay, so that means now if I come back to click on services, it will take me to a page called which I just created, called services, right? So but let me just go back. Okay, so you get the idea, right? So you need to create for fax everything as well. So you can do fax faqs.html, and you do for css, so faqs.css as well. Okay, so for this html fax, you know, you just have to do the normal thing. So but I would link the css here, so the / then fax.css. Then right inside here, you can just simply open h1 here. Then we can write fax, right? So let's do for the remaining ones, which is contact and about me. So I'll be very quick with that. So contact, the HTML, contact the CSS, and the last one is okay. So inside the contact.html, by the way, I'll do what I need to do. So contact.html, then link the CSS. So contact the CSS, then inside it I'll open each one, then type contact. And the last one is going to be about. So about the HTML, about the CSS. Then link it. It's about the CSS. Then you want to open h1, just write about. You have it there. Okay, so everything is now linked. So if you click on any one of it, it will take you to that respective page. So for example, contact. So if I, okay, now it's not working here because if you come back to the index, you know, the index is the whole page. We have not linked it yet. So you just simply need to link everything. So this one is fax, so /, and then you call the fax.html and link it. So for this one, call contact, so /, then you call contact.html, by the way, and you link it. So for this last one, it's about, so /, about.html, and then you link it like that. Okay, so when you click on any of these links, it takes you to the respective page. So for example, now let me click on contact. So can you see it takes me to contact? So let's go back. So I'll go back. So if I click about, it takes me to about in this case. So as you can see. Okay, so let me just go back. So let's say you want maybe this all this styling plus the navigation bar inside of, you know, maybe the services. For example, let's go to services. So what you can do now is to copy the HTML of this, and to copy the HTML, I'm only going to copy the nav. Just copy it to the top like this, and copy, then come to services.html, then I'll remove this and paste it there. So I pasted the HTML there. So the HTML is there now, but the CSS isn't there yet. So you go to the CSS of the one we started before. This is our style.css, you know, where we have everything. So what I'll do is just maybe copy from the top here, and I'll copy it down to the end of nav only. So to the end of where I have nav only. So this is where I have it. So I'll copy it, and I'll go to services.css and paste it. That's all. You see I have the same nav here now and the background. Okay, and that icon is not here because, you know, we link it. So if I go to index.html, you know, we link this icon. This is the font awesome link. So I'll copy it, go to services.html in the head section, then I'll paste that. So you should see the link right up here. Yeah. Okay, so if I now click home, it will take me to the home. If I go to services, it will take me to services. But if I go to other pages, they are not there yet. So you'll be the one to actually build it yourself and copy them there yourself, and try to build something in about, at least from what we've done so far. Okay, so when you are done, then I'll show you how to deploy to GitHub. Okay, so to deploy to GitHub, I think I should just show you that once. If you didn't do this, don't worry, don't stress yourself. If it's just the one we did right in this video, it's fine. So what you want to do now is to go to your go to your browser, Then you go to GitHub, github.com. Make sure you have signed up on github.com. Right, so on github.com you see this page here. So anytime you want to put in your website, so this GitHub is just used for presenting your website, keeping your code, and you can always update your code if you want to update your code. And you can also have a shareable link for your code. Let's say you have a website which you just created, you want to share to others by sending them a link that, yeah, this is my website. Well, this we usually use GitHub pages to do that. So that's what we want to do. So even if you want to store your code on GitHub, this is the same procedure. The first thing you want to do is to click on new. Okay, so it's like you need to create a folder where you can store your project, but we don't call it a folder, we call it a repo or a repository. Okay, so click on this, and when you click on this right here, it takes you to this page here. So what you want to do now is to put in a repository name. You can just put in the name of your website, so maybe glass. So anything is fine, and then you can add a description of your website if you have one. And then basically all you just need to do is to click on create repository. Just think of it as, say you are creating a folder, okay, where you store your particular project. And then next thing you want to do now is to click on this upload an existing file. So instead of this kind of like blue background, light one, so you see this upload an existing file, so click on it. This is going to take you to the place where you need to upload all your files. But you know what we usually do? What we usually do is very simple. You open your folder, go to where your project is. Go to where, in my own case, I have it in my desktop here. And this is simply the folder I used. So open it for my project. That's what we are using. If you don't know the name, of course, you should be able to know the name. We started off together. So what you want to do is to highlight everything here, or you press Ctrl A. Ctrl A would highlight everything. So move your mouse on anyone, then hold it and drag it into here. Okay, so what this is going to do for you is going to upload all of those files for you right away. Okay, so this may take a couple of seconds, as you can see. So it's updating. So once it's done, then what you want to do now is to scroll down and click on commit changes. So commit changes means, well, just save my work, I'm done with it. So this is going to show you all your files here, and that's all. Okay, so let's say you want to share the file to me, and I told you to share it to me. I can access it, and all you just need to do is to copy this link and you can share it to me, though that's not your link you will share to your friends or anyone. So we are not done yet. Okay, so what you want to do now when this loads is to go to settings by clicking on settings. We use GitHub pages. So on the sidebar here, you'd actually see this called pages. Just scroll down if you can't find it, and then when you're on pages here, you will see this option called none. Click on the none and change it to main, and then click on save. So when you click on save, that's all you need to do. Okay, so all you just need to do is to wait for 1 minute, and then you see your link somewhere at the top there. So let's wait for 1 minute. Okay, so let's now refresh it. So let's click on the refresh button. So you see that the link appears right immediately. Okay, so you can now see that the link has been appeared here. So this is my link in this case, and right click and then you open a new tab. Okay, and then you see I have my website right here. Okay, so you can see we kind of have a problem here. So the CSS is not displaying. So what would be the reason? Now if you're facing issues where your CSS isn't displaying, so what you want to do now is, let's say you want to fix the code. You don't have to go offline to go to your VS Code to do it, but if you check our VS Code, I think we linked that properly. Let's go back to index. Don't we have our CSS here? So we have our CSS properly linked here anyways. Okay, so I don't know why this doesn't display, but let's refresh to be sure. Okay, so this is only displaying the HTML, which is totally fine. So let's say you want to fix your code, but in case your own shows, that's all. You don't have to do anything else. But in case yours doesn't show, what you want to do is to click on code here to see all your code. Okay, now when you have all your code here, you will see that you have index. There must be a file here called index. Okay, by the way, anytime, because that's the file it will display here, and that's what is showing here. Okay, so but anyways, open this index and the CSS file we show. Okay, that's the style there. So the way I linked my CSS could be the issue. It should be maybe dot forward slash here. So in order for you to fix it, that most likely will be the issue. So you click on this pen icon at the top left corner there. So this pen icon to edit file. So you can edit your file here. So once it opens up here, so what you want to do now is to come to this here, then put a dot. So and then that's all. Then what you want to do is to click on commit changes at the top right corner, and then a pop-up. So you click commit changes again. So the changes doesn't reflect immediately, but let's go back to check it. Okay, so by refreshing it, let's say now, so okay, so you can now see that it's now displaying. So the way that was linked was, so it's also, you also learned something that you can adjust your code in VS Code as long as you know what the error is, right? So that's all for that, and I'll share the link, and you guys, you try it out. That's all. All right, so thank you. All right, so really quickly, there's also one more thing which I need to show you guys, which is to come back to your code here. When you come back to your code here, we want to move to the CSS file, because if you view this website in your browser, it might not show the background blur, right? So what you want to do now is, no matter what browser you're using, you always want to adjust it. So click on this edit file, and then you just have to come to your CSS somewhere here. So where we give this backdrop filter, right? So we also want to add a backup here. Just type this command which I pasted here, right? So just type this command here. So be sure you do not make mistake. So when you type it, then you can just simply click on commit changes, and then that's all. So click commit changes. All right, so this should have the block properly displayed in your browser. Right, so that's it. And if there are any other issues like your font awesome may not showing, so what you can just simply just come back to font awesome. So I wouldn't want to know why that's not showing, but let's say maybe we copy this link tag, and this is in case your font awesome doesn't show. So what you want to do is come back to your GitHub here, and come back to your HTML right here. So we use the font awesome properly, which is the font awesome brands. So but if you feel it's not showing anyways, you can just come to this edit, and what you can just do is it should show anyway, but in case it doesn't show, we can just simply adjust it. You can just maybe hyphen brands like this, and you can check if this works. Okay, so but also, you can also debug it by copying that link. So you can just open the link tag, and then you can write the relationship. Yeah, so style sheet, okay, and then the href, and then you close it, by the way. So inside the href, what you just need to do is to come back to Font Awesome website. You can copy not that link tag, just copy this tag itself, and be sure you copy or if there are issues, you can copy the other version, but we'll stick with this first one here. And you come to the your GitHub and paste it there. Okay, so but that should actually work anyways. And then click on commit changes, and then commit changes. So that's all.